This time on Flipping Bangers.
We buy a car that everybody loves.
I don't actually know much about Beetles.
It's charming.
We're going to have to be very careful, Gus. I think we're going to end up buying this.
Oh, we're definitely going to buy it.
It looks lovely.
I wonder what horrors lie beneath this beautifully but imperfect shell.
It's right up our street. And it's got disaster written all over it.
I'm not going to get it done in time, Gus. There's just not enough time in this project to do it.
I'm Gus Gregory.
And I'm Will Trickett.
Together, we're risking everything to follow a dream.
It's something I've wanted to do for a long, long time.
We've packed in our day jobs
And invested our own hard-earned cash.
as we try to make a living in the cutthroat world of second-hand cars.
It's all in the chase. You've got to buy well, you've got to sell well.
Why would anybody buy this car?
We've got a goal.
We want to double our money. If we put 500 quid in, we need to see £1,000 back. We're targeting the very bottom of the market.
We buy cars that nobody else wants.
Can we keep our business afloat? Flipping Bangers?
It needs so much work doing to it.
1 year ago, we turned our backs on our regular jobs, rented this garage and attempted to carve out a new living by buying and selling cheap cars, and made enough money flipping bangers just to return.
People dream of giving everything up, but we're doing it for real. And it's scary.
We've raided our piggy banks again, and this time we have enough to spend £500 to £1,000 on each car. If we want to cover our costs and pay ourselves wages on top, we have no choice but to double our return on every pound we put in. Our workshop time must be fixed too, and runs to just 5 days per car. We've swapped a salary and a wage, possibly for nothing.
The workshop is hungry once again, and as usual, we're desperate to put something on the table. Choosing what is something we both enjoy.
So what I would really like is a Mark I Golf, but they're just too expensive, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. So we're set on going with Volkswagen then, are we? Because, you know, they cost a lot of money. Anything, you know, there's plenty to choose from, yes, but that's quite nice.
I think that the trouble is that if we are looking for a classic Volkswagen, we seem to be ignoring the elephant in the room. That is nice. Because we both know that the Volkswagen that we should buy at the price that we would pay for it would be too rusty, and that's a Beetle.
With the Beetle, you have a few variables to look at. Pre-1970s, right or left-hand drive, rusty or ready, original or modified, with prices from around £600 to £6,000.
I think if we put our back into trying to find one, I'd love to work on a Beetle.
It'd have to be, you know, I'm just really, really, really dubious about the whole thing.
We want to spend less than £1,000 on a car. There are slim pickings at that money, but an imported VW in Northamptonshire has just come on. It's priced to sell at £950.
So we're going to see Chris in Kettering and his almost too good to be true Beetle. It's all up together, it's all there, and it runs. It's not MOT, but it runs.
OK.
And that's silly money for a Beetle, isn't it?
It sounds too good to be true, really.
It does a bit.
You know, a middle-of-the-road shabby Beetle can easily get £2,000.
Yeah.
So if there's only £1,000, then it might be a real shed.
Yeah.
But casting logic aside, we pretty much decide to buy the car without even clapping eyes on it.
We're both agreeing that we'll be coming home with a car that's not fit for purpose. That's just perfect. That just suits our philosophy exactly, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Yeah, so this is fait accompli, and we've not even got there yet.
It's time to see how bad the Beetle is.
That's got to be Chris, isn't it?
Definitely looks like it.
You Chris?
Yes.
Chris, hello, I'm Gus.
How are you doing, Gus?
Please
All
to
right?
meet you. This is
How you doing?
Will.
I will.
Morning.
Right.
Are we down there?
Yeah, it is. Tucked away. You might want to park there, though.
Brilliant.
Shall we?
So tell us about the car then. What's the story about the car?
My dad imported it 35 years ago, and I managed to get it back off of him a few years ago, but I'm just too busy to get it finished, so I just need to get rid of it.
Look at that, that's lovely.
But it does look good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not bad, is it?
No, it looks great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The interior looks really good. I mean, there is a fag burn in it, but apart from that, good clean, and I reckon that would be really presentable in there. It's clearly been repainted because actually it's white inside, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was done a long time ago.
Shall I pop the front?
Yeah, let's have a look in there, see what it looks like.
We almost want the car to be rusty, but so far it's not half as bad as we expected.
Yeah,
Clearly white.
yeah. Do you know what? It's funny though, isn't it? Because it all looks pretty correct. It's quite an honest looking little car, I reckon, Gus. It looks like that's been bodged in there.
Well, years ago, they actually used the air pressure from the tyre for the washers.
Really?
I don't actually know a lot about Beetles, to be honest with you.
I've never had a Beetle
No,
before.
minors and minis.
Yeah.
And there's tend to be two paths in life, don't there?
That's
You
right,
either go
yeah.
down this path or you go down the sort of minors and minis path.
Is that the genuine mileage?
It is. It's well used.
That's 179,000 miles, Gus.
You're clearly barely just run in.
Well, it's relatively crowded in here, but, you know, that's the way they were. For the price this car is, it should be full of holes, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
And may well be.
Yeah.
But this looks all right, doesn't it?
But what about the rust? It's bound to have some. These hubcaps down here, they're just telling me we've got some rot to find. I'm gonna have a quick look under here.
Yay, a nice juicy patch, a big one. Maybe a drive in the bug will help us decide whether this project is viable.
Do you think we can take it for a spin then?
If you wanted to drive it up the lane, I mean, it's not road legal.
Shall we? We should, shouldn't we?
Yeah,
OK, shall we?
I'm gonna drive.
Instantly.
That's not bad.
No. And it's a nice place to be, isn't it? I know we were both saying we were never really into Beetles, but it's a nice place to be, isn't it?
I can instantly get why people like Beetles.
Yeah, I can as well.
Only get that lovely little waffle coming out the back when you pull away.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny, I'm feeling nostalgic and I've never had one before.
I can't believe that it runs.
It runs so beautifully.
And it sounds sweet. Yeah.
We're going to have to be very careful, Gus. I think we're going to end up buying this.
Oh, we're definitely going to buy it.
What?
We'll definitely buy it, won't we? It's so much better than we thought it was. I think it's a shame that it was advertised as a blue Beetle and it's a interior white, exterior blue
Yeah,
Beetle.
it's...
But actually, when you come up, when you first look at it, you just think, well, it's a cute little car, isn't it?
It is a nice little car.
Full of character.
It presents really, really well.
Yeah.
There's a couple of crunchy bits on the underside. We've seen that.
Yeah.
And we might have just seen the tip of the iceberg.
Suspect we have only seen the tip of the iceberg, but if we can get it for, I don't know, if we can get it for 6.5 or something like that.
We'll give it a bash. Give it
Brilliant.
a bash.
I mean, it would be brilliant. We're definitely going to, whatever we find underneath, then we're definitely going to turn a profit on it, aren't we?
Well, I'll tell you what, you come in with a silly offer.
Yeah.
We'll look at his face, and if he doesn't look too cross, but still says no,
Yeah.
then we'll maybe up it a little
Yeah.
bit. See how we get on.
Good cop, bad cop.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one.
How was it then, chaps?
Wow. I mean, when you first see it, you don't expect it to start up and drive, do you? And it sounds really sweet.
And it looks really, really good as well. And it drove really nicely. And stopped quite well too.
But the only problem is the car's not actually worth more than 500 quid to us, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I couldn't do that. I'm looking for 950.
See, the thing is, that's a bit above what we can do. I mean, would you be prepared to settle for sort of 700 quid?
If you're going to save it,
Which
I'd do-
we would.
I'd do 700.
Yeah?
Excellent.
Wicked. Right then.
Cool.
I've never had a Beetle. Excellent.
Enjoy it.
Nice. Chris, like the car, is too good to be true. 700 quid is super cheap, and we are super happy. It's onto the trailer and homeward bound, or workshop bound, with our lovely little VW in tow. Good little car, eh?
Well, it's a good little car, but it is only inches away from death, isn't it?
Yeah, that poor little thing. I think another year out in the rain and there wouldn't have been anything left of that car. No, yeah, it's... the paint jobs were rough.
Yeah.
The chrome's not bad. bad, is it?
No, it
the
looks great,
interior is filthy.
It is.
And it's covered in bird poo.
But you can't walk away from a car like that, can you?
No.
It's full of character and it's full of potential. And I think when we both walked down that lane, we both looked at it and both thought the same thing.
Oh, now that's a cute little car, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a car that's going to come up well. That paint job
Yeah.
might be rough now, but with a polish up, it's never going to be perfect.
No,
but
but-
it will look a lot better.
Yeah.
So despite a long list of negatives, we're still happy. The next day, we revisit our battered bug to make sure that our 5-day plan for it holds water.
Hello, my beautiful, beautiful little Beetle, and I wonder what horrors lie beneath this beautifully but imperfect shell.
Oh, come on, Gus. That's not very positive, is it, mate?
I'm steeling myself, not just for me, but for you too, because if we get this up on the ramp and look underneath and it's got terminal rust, I'm not sure I can take that again, not with a car as so beautiful as this.
We've got it for an absolute song. The market for these things is just brilliant. And yes, we do know it's got a little bit of rust, but we just need to keep our fingers crossed that that rust isn't the terminal sort.
Where do you see this? At what level do you see this at coming out of the garage?
Well, in the time that we've got, I know that we're not going to be achieving concourse. And I know we're not going to respray the car, and I know we're not going to be a prize winner, any stretch of the imagination. I think if we just let this, you know, if we end up with a car that embraces its knocks and its scratches and all of that sort of stuff, and we find somebody else who's going to love it a lot, and they've got £2,000 to £2,500 to spend on it.
Well, that is much more interesting. Let's get on with it.
The Beetle is so grimy, a full scrub and valet is in order. Then I take some pics for an ad that will be posted shortly. That's because the Beetle needs to be on the market as soon as we've finished. The VW might be looking a bit more presentable when it's complete, but it won't be that different, so hopefully we'll get away with it. I'll list it with a new MOT.
OK, so starting price, £1. Buy it now price, not in there. It's going to find its own level. Reserve price, £1,500. Then we're safe with that at least. 5-day auction. Good.
The Beetle can now enter what will be its home for 5 days.
We had a poke around the car underneath when we bought it and noticed there was a bit of rust. But it's only when we get the bug on the ramp that we know exactly what we're dealing with.
The moment of truth. How much rust is there?
Ooh, another rusty nightmare. Look at this. Oh, my goodness.
That's just cosmetic.
Crispy,
we can fix that easily.
But the thing is, it looks like it's been sat in water, and I guarantee every single nut and bolt that we try and undo on this car is going to be a nightmare.
We've just got to be brave and do everything carefully. It'll be OK, Gus, it'll be OK.
Look at this, look at this, look at this. There's a line of delineation here, isn't there? Behind here, fairly original. Above, front of that, absolute nightmare.
Sometimes it doesn't feel so good to be right.
Look at that, all the way through on the plate there. All the way through here.
Yeah.
There's holes in the front here, spare wheel holder, isn't
There's
there?
a massive hole in this suspension bar as well. That's a problem.
But can you imagine trying to get this off? Trying to get the whole bar off to work on it is going to reveal a whole another world of pain behind there.
But it's going to make it easier to get to that bit to weld it, and if we've got to clean up this lot behind it to make it look lovely, it's going to make that easier as well. I vote we remove it, get it on the bench and do a nice surgical job on the repair of the suspension bar.
I'm sceptical. I'm sceptical about the whole thing, but if we're going to do that, let's get on with it and see where we get to.
We're not expecting the VW to be perfect, we just need it to be manageable, and it's borderline. The central arm above the suspension is crucial to our chances. If we can get it out, it'll give us better access to fix the rust that's hidden deep behind it. I'm positive it will come off. Right, so here it is. The front suspension that I thought was going to be a piece of cake to remove and then work on the bench on it really, really nicely and easily is not the best plan. It's not going to come off easily. The bolts all want to shear, and if they shear, that's going to give us tons and tons of work putting it all back together. Already, this is going to be a long day, and it's not going very well.
I'm not going to say I told you so.
So plan B is to leave the suspension bar in place and cut out the rot behind it. It's not a disaster, just hugely more difficult. Access isn't good and it's going to take longer. But Rome wasn't built in a day.
Pretty soon we expose the rust, grind it back, cut it out and leave panels we can weld back onto.
Right, that's clean. Should we do the patches in the morning?
Yeah.
At the end of our first day, we're feeling a bit hard done by. We always said that we'd buy the car however much rust it had, but we were hoping Lady Luck had better news in store. We only have a fixed amount of time and an unfixed amount of fixing to do.
It's day 2 out of 5. We bought a VW Beetle that was too cheap to turn down, 700 quid. And we're at the point of no return already. A first look under the car has shown a multitude of rust that we've got to remedy.
Morning!
Morning! The Beetle needs an MOT in a few days, and the section where the suspension meets the body is known to be a weak point on these cars. Thankfully, Gus has volunteered to deal with it. And it looks like he's having a few problems.
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take this suspension strut out here so we can have a look at this arm. And it's going to fail an MOT if it's got holes within 300 mil of a structural part. Well, it's all a structural part, so it's going to fail. So we've got to get this off, clean it up, and have a good look at it. It's just spinning. Basically, this thread is connected to a hardened steel rod which goes down through here and becomes the piston for the shock absorber. And if it's spinning, there's no way that I'm going to get it off. So I'm going to cut it off and take it out because they're 10 a penny, I'm sure. Not that I've looked, but I'm sure they are. That's great. So there's actually a flat on here, which means that there's a thread in here. So I can disconnect the strut from this top bracket, and then all I've got to do is cut the top bracket off, which is going to be cheaper. Oh! Well, in the end, in my own inimitable way, I managed to snap it off, but it's had it anyway, so I'll have to replace it.
So at least now I can assess the suspension upright and get it ready for Will.
Well, I've cleaned this up so I can see where the holes are and what needs to be done to it, but it shows perfectly what's already been done to it and the history of this arm and how many people have patched and overpatched and then put filler over holes. But I've taken it all off so we can see what there is. And honestly, well, you can see it looks like Frankenstein's arm, doesn't it? And it's too expensive for us to replace. And you can only buy the whole thing, so we've got to take the whole thing off. We can't do that. We know we can't do that. So really, although I'm not looking for it, this seems to be the straw that's broken the Beetle's back.
The only way to replace this is to buy a new floor pan and basically rebuild the entire front end of the car from new or used parts. Gus thinks it's not doable in the time that we have and wants to sell the engine and the interior and the wheels and the doors and claw back some cash that way. But I don't.
I don't think I'm prepared to let our Beetle go to the scrapyard just for a rotten suspension arm. So I'm going to do my best to do a good repair on it, see if I can't change Gus's mind.
I'm fighting hard for this Beetle, but from this point, it's an uphill struggle. The challenge with this kind of welding is making the plates sit exactly to give the maximum strength. It'll take a bit of time, but I'm determined to do it. Within a few hours, I've probably made a far better repair than all of the bodgers that went before. And the seam work that I've already done is putting the car into another price bracket, hopefully. It's only very late on day 2, and I start patching up the second tier of rust under the floor pan. But the more I find, the more I find. I'm absolutely worn out. Maybe Gus was right. It'll cost us all of our resources to find out we just can't finish.
It's day 3. We needed to give our super cheap, super charming VW Beetle an MOT and add £1,000 onto its price. But I'm afraid I can't see a better solution than selling off its most valuable parts and chalking it up to experience. Will is also flagging, beaten down by the sheer size of the challenge.
What are you doing at the back?
Well, you know, we thought all the rust was at the front. Well, it isn't. We were wrong.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not going to get it done in time, Gus. There's just not enough time in this project to do it.
Maybe we could sell it as a project. I mean, if somebody saw what you'd done all the difficult welding, so we can make it shine, couldn't we? We could put our heads together, be clever, come up with some ideas that really made it shine so that people would see it and they think, oh, I've got to have that car. Needs a bit of welding, but got to have that car. I don't know, we could think of something.
We're going to have to pull out all the stops to make that happen.
I'll have a look on the computer. Are you going to finish that then?
Well, I can't leave it undone. Now I've started. It's a classic, isn't it?
OK, I'll make a cup of tea.
All right.
The Beetle is so much about looks, so the new plan is to go all out with a visual transformation instead, and we'll need to be honest with the new owner about finishing off the bits that still need to be done. It's a smarter way to salvage what we've done and build on what we can do.
I love these wheels, but I hate them in this condition and in this colour.
I'm getting the wheels refurbed for instant curb appeal.
Hi, Tom.
Hello, mate.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Well, this is our Beetle wheel. Bit crusty. It basically needs a revamp, doesn't it?
Not a problem at all.
The wheels are acid dipped, which does more than any amount of rubbing down at the workshop can do. Then all the acid is washed off, and the rust and residue is blasted off. After a final blow-off, you end up with a clean sheet to work from. I'm going to have the wheels powder coated, which is a nicer and tougher finish than just painting them. The wheel is electrically charged, so the powder, fired from the gun, sticks to it. Then it's baked on, lacquered, and baked once more. This job has cost £350, which is half the price of the car. It's a lot, but I'm hoping that the difference will bump up the price by more. It just depends if we can get the rest of the car to a similar standard. Back at the workshop, Will's landed in a good spot, finishing about 70% of the welding the bug needs. I'm moving on plans for the new look, so I send Will off to buy Brightwork and set about masking off the body shell in preparation for an in-house budget paint job.
Will and I have had a discussion about this car, and we've come up with an idea that we think will really make it stand out. We're going to do a very typical Volkswagen Beetle two-tone paint job in cream on this area here. It's a relatively quick and therefore relatively cheap thing to do. I think it's going to look great. Someone is going to love it.
First I key the paint, which is old but quite thick. With the worst of the dents rubbed down, I prime the surface.
Gus has convinced me to stop welding, based on the fact that it can't be finished, and concentrate on making the car look a bit better. So while Gus paints, I pull out the kitty and go hunting, but we can't spend much. A company in Hampshire specialises in selling vintage VW and camper gear, and has hundreds of product lines. Some they even make themselves. But the primary reason for my visit is not the top-end retail stuff. I'm kind of hoping that you've got a bit of a bargain basement bin going on somewhere.
We do. We have customer returns that we sell on eBay, so if I show you that, you might be able to find something in there.
They're down here?
Just through here, yeah.
Oh, cool. This exclusive access is exactly what I came here for. Wow. This is a proper little Aladdin's cave, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we keep lots of little bits and pieces hidden away in here. Customer returns, product that's coming from suppliers that we're not happy with for the quality or reasons like that. So it's all stuff that we sell off on auction sites.
Well, that's perfect, because we're not looking for top quality and we are looking for cost efficient.
Well, hopefully, we've got it in here for you.
Do you reckon that bumper up there might be?
What year's your Beetle?
It is a 1980?
1980, right,
yeah.
OK.
It's a Brazilian one.
Yep.
And that's got Brazil written on it.
Yeah, there you go, made in Brazil.
Excellent.
So that will be
Well, that's a good start, isn't it?
the right bumper for your vehicle.
Now, I know that finding that might well be pot luck. How lucky do you reckon we'll be to be able to find its little friend?
We've got a few more, but try that
doesn't
one
look
down
right.
there, because
Which one?
that's a Brazilian one. One at the end.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this one.
Yep.
Do you know, I know how to identify this one because I've already seen that it's got the indicator in that bit there.
That's it. That's the right one.
That's the one. So that's a pair.
There you go.
Brilliant. Oh, this is quite easy, isn't it?
Yep. All the bits you need.
Well, not quite all of the bits I need. I'm having a good old look about and I've spotted some headlight bezels over there. Are they the right one for our model?
I think they will be, because they're the late ones
Yeah.
with the single screw on them, so they should fit your vehicle.
You've got loads of them.
Yeah, we have. These came in from a supplier. We weren't quite happy with the chrome on them, so again,
Okay.
they go out as seconds, not as first-line quality.
What's wrong with... Oh, I see. Look, it's got a little scratch
It's got a blemish on it, yeah.
We're not that bothered about that.
There we go.
Are they handed?
No, that's it.
Can we take two of those?
Of course you can.
Right, onwards and upwards. Right, well that is a fantastic start.
Good.
Is there any chance I can run around with the trolley and get the rest of the bits?
Definitely, yeah. Please help yourself and see what you can find.
Oh, you're a star. Cheers. So I'll want to be paying a reduced price for the seconds, but sadly I'm going to need to pay more normal money for door handles, hubcaps, door rubbers and shiny bits to help the engine look more bling. I could get used to this shopping lark. With everything to hand, in half an hour I've probably spent more than the price of the car. Well, Pete, here we go. Hit me with a magic number, and remember, we are skins.
Right, OK. Well, the bits and pieces you got in your trolley, basically looking at about £152 worth of new parts.
Yeah.
The bumpers, you'd be normally looking at around about £190 for the bumpers. Obviously, because they're seconds, they came out of our container. We could do a bit off those. So if we say £75 for the bumpers, so if we put the whole lot together, and £225 for the whole lot.
That sounds absolutely awesome. Cool.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
A 50% saving is critical because we're not chasing top money anymore. We're just primarily wanting to make our cash back.
While Will spends our money, my one-man paint marathon is progressing. I'm ready to spray on the white from a rattle can, naturally. I've decided not to tackle the blue paint, even though the bug needs it. I can't paint the whole car in the time left. So the gamble is that a two-tone will still make someone love the Beetle more than if it was just blue. So at the end of day 3, we've got a new idea and a new direction for the Beetle and lots of shiny bits to stick on. Day 4. We're calling this Project Beetle or Bust because we bought a Beetle knowing it would be rough and hoping it wasn't, and then realising it was. We've called time on the welding and have started a new programme of upgrades to make the Bug look nicer.
Last night was like the night before my birthday. The anticipation was killing me, kept me up all night. I can't wait to rip it off.
I'm a little bit worried because this looks 100% brilliant. I'm just worried that the blue bit is going to look 100% rubbish.
Come on, let's get it off.
Yup, the white looks perfect. A bit too good for the pot-marked but charming blue paint alongside.
But overall, we're speechless.
Put simply, our two-tone paint job has transformed the Bug.
So now we need to make the rest of our car look as good. And the engine is a wise place to tinker.
At the moment, we're heading for a loss with this car on many levels. We don't know who we're going to sell it to. We don't really know what we're going to do with it. But I see this, the engine, as a bit of a commodity. It's got a worth. And the cleaner it is and the better it's running, the more it's worth. I could do all that here in situ because access is relatively easy, but I'm going to drop it out because I've seen it done and I like the idea of doing it. So I'm going to drop it out, I'm going to clean it up, I'm going to get it running perfectly, and I'm going to put it back in.
It's one of the Beetle's original design briefs that it can be worked on easily. And after disconnecting the ancillaries, you can, in theory, drop the engine down in one lump.
So I've got my pallet down, I've got my aluminium tray to catch all the bits. I'm going to lower the car down, wiggle the engine out onto the pallet, and then lift the car up on the ramp, leaving the engine on the pallet.
With the car down, I remove just 4 bolts and the whole thing should drop out. Or I'll shear off a rusty bolt and have a world of pain. Let's see.
Right, and that's the last bolt done. It should come out now. It should just wiggle. It does wiggle. Not that I should be surprised about that, but anything that actually works always surprises me. Should be out.
After a minor collision, the engine is free to work on. Now I can get the 1204 outside and just make it look a bit more presentable. The first stage is just a wash, and underneath the grime, it's okay. Dressing engines is a well-trodden path for old VWs, and Will's getting some shiny stuff that'll help. Before the engine goes back in, I'll give it the once-over, and tappets, which control the valve lift, are manually adjustable and should be checked.
Taking the engine out of this Beetle really has given me access all areas. I'm going to check the clearance on the tappets. It's crucial on these air-cooled engines because they run really hot and the exhaust valves can burn out if they're not right. But also, it's enabled me to wash the whole thing, and I think you've got to agree, it looks great now. If I looked under the boot and saw this, I think it looked great. So I'm going to do this, I'm going to check a few more things, but I'm going to change these. I don't like the look of that. The firing order of this engine is 1-4, so 1-4-3-2, and I know that because it's written here, which is very handy. So if I want to check the tolerances of the tappets on number 1 cylinder, then I have to make sure that the piston is at top dead center so that both valves are closed. And to do that, there's a little V here and a dot on the casing. So I line those up and I know that the piston is at top dead center. And if I check that the rotor arm is opposite number 1 cylinder, number 1 HT lead here, then I know that it's at top dead center on number 1 cylinder. And I know that this is number 1 because I can follow it down like that. So it's at top dead center on number 1 cylinder, then I can check the tappets on number 1 cylinder. and this is the clever bit, and I worked this out myself. If I wind the engine backwards, so anti-clockwise, to the next top dead centre, then the piston will be at top dead centre on number 2 cylinder. And I can check the tappets there, and then number 3, and then number 4, and so on.
In a few highly skilled minutes, I make sure the engine will be running exactly as it should. Then Will appears like Father Christmas, a ginger one, with his sack full of goodies.
Gus,
Hey, what you got?
I've got bumpers and chrome bits and other nice bits and pieces.
Excellent. Did you get my covers?
Huh?
Oh, you didn't forget. No, you
I
didn't.
didn't. Is that ready to go in?
Yeah, it's just about ready now. I'm just going to put the covers on. So
Got a hand, shall I open the door?
yeah, it's starting raining, so I'm going to drag it in.
Yeah. Now we have a real festive atmosphere in the workshop that replaces yesterday's gloom. We've chucked in our day jobs to trade in old bangers, and this lovable bug deserves that name. We almost gave up on it, but thankfully a new plan to improve her looks has got this project back online.
And now Will is anxious to show off his VW booty.
Come and have a look at this little lot,
Come on,
Gus.
come on, what you got?
Well, we've got exhaust pipes.
Oh, I didn't know you
Two
were
of.
getting those.
Yeah, I know, I've done really well. Tons of shiny bits. Look at these.
Excellent. Oh, hubcaps.
Yeah, they look nice, don't
Yeah,
they?
they look lovely.
Some of those.
Yeah, perfect.
For the lights, we've got.
Oh, that's for me.
Yeah, you need that bit.
Nice. That's going to make it look nice.
What else did you want?
My covers, rocker covers.
One of those.
Gaskets.
Another one of those. Gaskets.
Have you got the clips?
Oh.
Oh, you have. I
Still
can see
joking.
them.
There you go. I'm the king of funny jokes today, aren't I?
That's
There
going to
you
look great. Right, I'm going to get those on.
go. You better have, because I think I'm going to put the bumpers on. Yeah, this one.
So it's a fix-on bonanza. I'm snapping on the engine bits.
And I'm bolting on the bargain bumpers. Hangers are dead simple and don't require more than a have-a-go DIY spirit. And once the slightly imperfect bezels are on, all we need is an engine. Wow, Gus, that's looking great.
Does it? Look, it was just covered in muck, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Well, it's ready to go in. Could you lower if I wiggle?
Of course.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
And in a reversal of what Gus did earlier, it slides into place neatly, ending the 4th day, and with a feeling that we just might get through this.
It's the 5th and final day of our Beetle. Suddenly, all the stars are aligned. We've shelled out £1,250 and the VW has gone from hellish to hero. There's one question hanging over us. Will anyone buy it?
This interior is grotty and boring, and we've got not very much time and absolutely no money. I'm going to need a very, very cunning plan. So here is my very, very, very cunning plan. Old Hessian to cover the seats. It's cost pretty much no money, and it's only going to take a bit of time to make groovy seat covers from this stuff. But it's a bit boring on its own, so I thought maybe I could spice it up a little by using old coffee sacks. This is going to make a very cool and very groovy interior for our little Beetle. I kick off with an interior strip out, which is nice and easy as it's a Beetle. A dismantling of seats. And then a template. There we are. That is a perfect copy of my seat back. I've got to do exactly the same with the rest of the seat panels, and then I can go ahead and cut it all out of the fabric. You know the drill. I overcut the material, stitch the covers together, and then they slide on. OK, I'm not going to win a design award, but it's different, and it's better than it was.
So that's time. 5 days and the VW is ready to leave the workshop. This one hasn't been easy. We paid only £700 for the car, but it was expensive in time and patience. We've welded most of the tough stuff, but there is still work to do. We've dropped the engine and given it a going over. We've powder coated the wheels, refreshed the interior, added a few chrome bits, and painted about a third of the car. The VW stands us £1,335. It's a lot of car at that money. It's good enough to warrant some new pictures, so the ad, which now lists the new look, has a chance. We'll stick to our £1,500 reserve. Risky?
Well, this has been a lesson in life, hasn't it?
It's been a lesson in fixing cars.
I reckon it's been a lesson in, if you've got a problem, then you can't run away from it, can't stick your head in the sand, you can't lose it, you've got to be clever. And I think we've been clever with this car.
Yeah, I think we have. We've come up with issues and we have turned them into something which is genuinely brilliant.
I think we'll find someone like-minded who'll want to take this car on and put it on the road. It will sell, won't it?
Since the VW isn't road legal, we use a private estate track to give it its last hurrah.
I did not think this is where we would end up with this car, but I think it's been the making of us. It's certainly been the making of this Beetle.
If you just listen to the wonderful air-cooled engine and look at the iconic body styling of this car, I mean, wow, they look great. I mean, I think I can truly see why these were considered and made as the people's car. You've just got to drive one.
Is that a good idea with this car, though?
Well, maybe not, but you know, you just got to bear in mind that the engine is painfully slow. The gears are dicky, to say at the best. The brakes on this one are, you know, they're okay, but they're not always brilliant. And like with any Beetle, there is a distinct lack of refinement and luxury.
You're really selling it.
Oh, yes. I'm doing my best as well.
So the Beetle is great, but as we've had to sell it as a restoration project, not road legal, our expectations need to change. We don't expect to double our money, but how much will we make? Online, there's been some interest in the Beetle, and Kerry comes over to take a look. He's keen, and rather than buy it now, says he'll bid. But will he come through?
Will, do you want to see the last 38 seconds of the Beetle?
Of course I do.
34, 33, 1,500 quid. That's all right,
That's
isn't it?
not bad. That's reserve,
Is that the
isn't
reserve?
it?
Yeah.
It is. Happy days, mate.
Yeah.
If I had a seat, I'd be sat on the edge of it.
You don't want to get you one. Well, you only got 11 seconds.
10
I won't
seconds.
get there and back with that.
No.
It's not.
Come on, let's have a flurry.
It's not going to go mad, is it?
Oh, come on, please.
Maybe we shouldn't have watched it. Ah! No, 1,500's all right, though, isn't it?
That's our reserve. That's what, yeah, okay, that's not bad. Not bad.
It's gone.
But our success turns into a lesson in how tough selling online can be. The highest bidder isn't Kerry and doesn't turn up. So we list it again and are again messed around. But eventually, the Beetle goes for £1,300. Losing £35 after all that work would normally be devastating. But you know what? This time, it's a wonderful result.
Well, that was lucky, wasn't it? But then I reckon in this game we have been making a bit of our own luck.
Yeah. I really fell in love with that car.